Hey, Foot Clan. Before we start today's show, which is going to be a great show, a great show, I want to tell you about FantasyChamps.com. You already know that you can get all of your fantasy football trophies at FantasyChamps.com. You can get your championship rings and belts custom engraved at FantasyChamps.com. But now they have custom fantasy football jerseys. You can choose from 3 different colors. You can put your team name on it, and you can wear that thing for the rest of your natural life. Check it out at FantasyChamps.com. Promo code BALLERS.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the Play Draft Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome. Welcome in.
Playoffs?
I hope you're comfortable. I know Jason is.
He's wearing them Costco comfy pants.
Oh, it's like sweat shorts and basketball shorts got together, had a love child.
So welcome in to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Jason Moore, Andy Holloway, Mike, the Fantasy Hitman, right?
The YouTube is so lucky that Jason's behind the table.
Yeah.
Am I even wearing them right now?
Today is a very cloudy, very cold, windy day in Arizona.
It's bizarre.
And I get into the office, and I'm wearing a pair of jeans.
Like a normal, respectable.
I'm wearing a long-sleeve shirt.
Yeah, it's chilly.
It's a little chilly out, and I come into the office before the show, and I look over, and Jason's sitting there on his way to the local pool because he's got a T-shirt on. He's got sweat shorts on that are a clear dress-down look, and flip-flops.
Yeah, I got my flippy floppies.
And his excuse was, I didn't look out the window today.
It's very cold when I went to my car.
How do you not look out the window?
And then we sit down in the studio to get ready to record.
It's freezing.
And he's very uncomfortable, as though we should be surprised.
Yeah, I'm going to need the heat turned up, Brooks.
Oh, my goodness.
I'll just bring the heat to the show today.
Okay.
Yeah, radiate.
And warm myself.
We didn't have enough heat last night.
Oh, the fire.
Look,
Hey.
first things first on our commentary about last night's, what Big Ben called it, NFC North football game.
AFC.
Sorry, AFC
It
North
was
football
weird.
game.
He thought he was in a different division.
First things first, Ryan Shazier. Honestly, I couldn't think about anything but Ryan Shazier from the second that play happened through the remainder of the game. Jason made the comment that everything just kind of seems it seems ridiculous to snap the ball 30 seconds after a player gets hurt like that. Everything seems kind of moot, seems kind of callous to just go back to it is what it is. That happens. That's how it works in the big NFL.
That's how
Production.
everything works in life. I mean, when something terrible happens, you just have to keep going. It's unfortunate that an injury of that magnitude is in a game, right? Because it's a game, and then it has to keep going on. But at the same time, I have to imagine, because I don't know, I'm not a professional athlete, but let's say I'm a pro athlete and you get injured, that's what you want your team to do. He's like, guys, got to keep playing. We got to win this game because there's
You don't have a choice.
It's definitely what's going to happen. It's just awkward.
It's rough.
It's
yes.
jarring. And
Yes.
and I will say that the Shazier injury, it kind of put a feeling into that game last night that persisted throughout all of the physical.
It certainly did.
The physical plays that happened. Not that those plays were a reaction to it, but we were so sensitive to the violence after the Shazier injury that I think it was very profound in all the other plays. And we'll get into that poquito, a very little bit, just a little bit. I want to address my comments on Twitter. Briefly, I want Mike to have a chance to share something he wanted to talk about. But first of all, Ryan Shazier, as of this morning, according to the Steelers GM, he does not need surgery and he continues to improve. He suffered a spinal contusion on Monday against the Bengals. I don't want to speculate to the prognosis long term because everything that I've heard and understand from the doctors that I've seen reporting on Twitter is that the next 24 to 48 hours are very crucial to his recovery. And things like he's regained some feeling into his extremities. It still leaves a lot of room for some very dangerous outcomes. And so we're very optimistic here. We want to be positive about that. And the news is positive this morning.
Yeah.
So I woke up I was happy to read this. Let's put it that way.
Certainly.
Fair?
Yes,
Yeah.
very fair.
In regards to the other plays on the field, you had a big hit by Juju Smith-Schuster, the taunting play on Vontaze Burfict, and you had a really monster hit by Aoki in the end zone on Antonio Brown,
Right.
which I think would have been talked about profoundly had Antonio Brown been knocked out cold or carted off the field the way Burfict was and those things. I made a brief comment on Twitter about that I lost some respect for Juju on that play, and I just wanted to explain why. First of all, I have a lot of respect for Juju Smith-Schuster. That's how you lose respect for somebody. You have a lot of respect for somebody. Players like Aqib Talib, okay, or even Michael Crabtree, with some of the stuff they've done in the past, I don't have an overwhelming amount of respect for those guys to begin with when those incidents happen. Somebody like Gronkowski, that ridiculous play on Sunday, I can't believe he wasn't suspended 2 games.
Right.
I think it was ridiculous. You got a league trying to protect against concussions, and you take a cheap shot like that. I lost respect for Gronkowski. That being said, Juju, he's 21 years old. I didn't lose all respect for him. It was sad to see a guy who I do respect, who's 21, a young kid, get pulled into the violence of that rivalry and pulled into the thought that he has to stand over him like that. I don't care if it's Vontaze Burfict. I know Burfict is one of the players.
Not perfect.
Burfict's not perfect. He's one of the players that a lot of people want to see get blown up.
Right.
But look, you can move on. You can learn from those things. The apology that Juju apologized afterwards. So I just want the people out there who think that was a clean play in today's NFL. He came out and apologized. He said he shouldn't have hit him like that. And if we want to protect wide receivers from the blind hits, you got to protect defensive players on a crackback, helmet to helmet, knockdown, taunting situation. That's all I wanted to say.
Sure.
All respect's not out the door. He's going to learn from it. He'll grow from it. But that's all. I just wanted to address that.
And my point, the timing of it was very funny because last night was sports registration, and
Right.
for my kid.
Yeah.
And we were talking. We had a long conversation. What sport are you going to play in the spring? And I mean, every parent probably feels this way. Like, my kid's got potential, but my son has legit athlete potential for his future,
which is amazing. Just genetic.
No. This is. I'm not claiming this. This is
another father.
This is maybe. Well, I will be.
The milkman is so athletic.
But and so
Milkman.
it's like we're making these decisions to sculpt where does he put that athletic prowess, and he loves football because of course Dad loves football, and so that's what we made the decision. Like, okay, we're gonna play football again. And then this game happens. I'm like, oh, do I want to reconsider this? I mean, because of course those thoughts have always run through my head of, okay, well, what if he starts playing high school and college, and what if he actually plays pro football? Is that something I want for my kid with all of these hits and the things that can go on? And I think that the NFL needs to count their blessings for fantasy football, because the fantasy football community, while there are still some, they love the big hits and everything, it's been part of the game for so long. We want our players on the field. We don't want people to get blown up. And because it improves fantasy football when the superstars are playing. So I think the NFL needs to fully embrace that this new up-and-coming generation of fantasy football players and sports watchers are going to be okay if we completely remove these gigantic hits. Now, that may be controversial to some of the football watchers out there. Like, I love it. I want the big hits. They're going to have to go away for this sport to survive the next 100 years, which is what we all want. We want football to continue. But I think that we can get there. And I think that the NFL is very lucky that the people who are watching are going to want them out more and more with the next generation.
It was easy 10 years ago to say, man,
this is just football.
They're dumbing down the NFL. We have new information too.
Right.
I mean, I know everybody hates Vontaze Burfict, but
he's still a man. He's still a human being.
He's still somebody's son, right?
Yes.
He's still got parents. He's still somebody's brother. And we have new information about how head injuries affect players. Look at Junior Seau's situation and all of the concussion.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I've come around to that opinion as well. It doesn't make the game better. Jason, did you enjoy the game more because of that?
No, I enjoy games when I'm not distracted with yellow flags every 5 seconds.
that was
and
a problem,
injury
too.
timeouts every few minutes. Just let's play some football.
All right, that was one of our larger digressions. We'll get into the Monday night recap. In terms of fantasy-wise, look, those that wanted Antonio Brown to play, that's why 66 out of 66 snaps, monster catch, touchdown, played well,
He's very good.
5 for 106 and a touchdown. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. 8 for 101 and a touchdown on 15 targets. So,
Target monster.
very, very good. Joe Mixon left with a concussion in this game.
He was running rather well beforehand, and he even had a what was it, like a how long was that run?
About 30 yards.
Yeah,
That got
he
called
had
back.
called back on a hold, and yeah, it's a shame to see him go out.
Yeah, we'll have to monitor. Look, Gio's going to be
Yes.
one of the top waiver pickups,
Absolutely.
and you're probably going to need to take a shot on him because you're not going to get news on Mixon's concussion protocol status till later in the week. Even if Mixon plays, it's worth a shot on a Tuesday heading into the playoffs. I had a terrible beat last night. I needed one catch from A.J. Green in the entire second half of that game to clinch the bye in our league of record, and I didn't get it.
Nope.
I didn't get it. And I had Joe Mixon, too. So it was just a perfect storm of, like, I sympathize with any of you who got bad beats last night in that regard because it was tough watching 2 quarters. The ball slipped through his hands. The 61-yard touchdown called back. That was fun.
Yeah, it was a really fun game.
Yeah. All right, here we go. News and notes.
News and notes from around the league.
Those with Rob Gronkowski hope they have a bye week because he's going to be out. Suspended 1 game for the brutal hit. It was brutal. He should count his blessings.
Yeah.
He is appealing, but based on a lot of takes, I don't think the
There's a 0% chance.
With certain hits, if you appeal, you should get an extra game as a punishment for your attitude. You know, it's like
a countersue.
like a countersuit. Like, okay, you're going to appeal that? Let me show you that video again. 2 games. It's like my son. If I tell him, I go, hey, you're not going to get to play the video games for 1 day if you don't go to bed. And he keeps going. And I go, 2 days.
It's the detention scene from Breakfast Club.
3 days. All right.
You mess with the bull.
So
Eat the horns.
Gronkowski replacements, we'll talk about them during the waiver segment today. Eli Manning is expected to start in Week 14.
Eli Manning.
the streak
Begins
over.
again.
Yeah, begins again. I hope you get there again.
Yeah, with McAdoo and the GM fired. This is it's an unfortunate situation for Eli. Not that the streak is everything, but it's I've for my take on Eli Manning, he gives that team
The best
chance to win, and allegedly that's what McAdoo is doing. You know, are they checking new players for next year? Because you know that Geno Smith is not the answer at quarterback next year. So why not try to win games with Eli Manning? And the fact that this was allowed to happen, this entire charade, you know, all week long. This was the news, was Eli Manning's getting benched. Eli Manning's running the scout team, and then you remove the people making those decisions the very next week. It's just unfortunate. And I say just a kudos to Eli Manning for. I mean, he didn't ruffle any feathers.
He's a pro.
Yeah.
He just took it.
He's definitely a pro. But from a fantasy football perspective, this is great news for Sterling Shepard, who's got a good rapport with Eli Manning on those timing routes. And I think either quarterback was fine with Evan Ingram.
Yeah, no, you're right. The Shepard insight there is important. He's going to be good. Trevor Simeon's going to remain the starting quarterback. Ravens, Alex
They're
Collins
trusting the process.
dealt with migraines, and we'll monitor that. Delaney Walker day-to-day with an ankle injury. Here's a prediction. He'll play, and he'll be good.
Nice.
Mike Nugent is the new kicker for the Bears. Cairo Santos is on IR. And we're going to talk waivers.
Put me in, coach.
All right, number one waiver this week is obviously a pair of pants for Jason.
I won't wear them.
How much-
They'll be on my bench.
How much fab would you spend on a pair of pants right now? Or better yet, a pair of socks?
I would put in a $0 bid.
What about
really?
I'd
what
bid
about
me
a
a stash for the holidays.
turtleneck?
Oh, don't do
What's your take on turtlenecks, Jason?
Turtlenecks are itchy and hot and gross.
I feel like someone is joking me.
Yeah.
at all times when I'm wearing a turtleneck.
Can't swallow.
It's been a long time since I've worn a turtleneck. I'll tell you that.
I have headshots. I was a theater major in college.
Oh, please tell me you have black turtle shot.
I've got
or black.
I've got no, it's not a black. It's a big sweater, blue turtleneck. That's like these
For the
really
headshots?
dramatic headshots with this big blue turtleneck.
Was it
on.
ironic or was it serious?
It was serious, which makes it so ironic.
And
I mean,
when
it's
will
awful.
it be? And
These
when
have
will it
to
become your
surface.
Twitter avatar? Later today?
Never.
come
Foot
on.
I don't know where the pictures are. You'd have to ask my wife. But they're worth. I mean, if I could find them and tweet them out.
symbol.
I'm calling your wife.
Get that on Twitter. I'm telling you, your Twitter followers would double and have at the same time.
Yes.
All right, wide receiver waiver pickups. Just in case they're out there, I want to reiterate Sterling Shepard. He's probably owned. Nelson Aguilar, Cooper Kupp. 3 players that are most likely owned, but we mention them because there's probably 20% of leagues that they're out there. Main waiver wire pickups at the wide receiver position. Jason, you talked about Marquise Goodwin. Several head-to-head questions last week. You answered in favor of Marquise Goodwin. He went out and put up 8 for 99 on 8 targets. He's the main man there in San Francisco. You've got an accurate quarterback in Garoppolo. You like Goodwin.
I do like Goodwin. I like him a lot. I like him rest of season. But against Houston specifically, which is the matchup coming up this week, Houston has been great against the run, terrible against the pass. Marquise Goodwin looks like a locked and loaded starter. You have back-to-back weeks with more than 75 yards. You always have the potential for a long bomb touchdown. And like you said, his quarterback now is better. Garoppolo is accurate. They're able to run the offense. I think they looked good. So Marquise Goodwin, I would absolutely pick him up, and I would play him this week in the playoffs.
Do you like him more than any of the other options at the waiver position, like Dede Westbrook, 28% owned, Danny Amendola without Gronk this week?
Yeah, and
Josh
He is the
Doxson.
Gronk replacement.
Yeah, and Graham Barfield.
Not in size and scale.
Certainly not.
Graham It's like the movie Downsize that's coming out?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Gronk went in the machine and turned into Danny Amendola.
Came out as Danny Amendola.
But Graham Barfield had tweeted out, in Gronk's lone missed game in Week 5, Amendola set season highs in receptions, snaps, and routes.
It's not just that one game he missed, though, because you can actually see the trend of if you look at the games where Danny Amendola has been involved, they're Gronk's lower utilized games, and wherever Gronk has exploded, Danny Amendola has disappeared. So they really do use these players in somewhat of a similar fashion. I think with Gronk out, Amendola is a worthy pickup and play.
I figured it out. They're actually the guys from the movie Twins. The Danny DeVito,
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Foot Clan, we need that photoshopped.
That's a good one.
Take care of that right after the turtleneck pictures. All right, Kenny Stills. I want to bring his name up because he's basically taken the wide receiver 2 spot from Devontae Parker. Devontae Parker missed weeks 6, 7, and 8 and hasn't been –
So did you play last week?
Hasn't been – no, he's got 1 fantasy point for 2 straight weeks. You know, the coach is saying all the right things about him, but Stills is on pace for his first 1,000-yard year. He's at 5 for 98 and a touchdown last week. He's got New England this week. Somebody to pay attention to. You also had Josh Gordon. If he's out there,
he's
for
probably
goodness
owned.
sakes, start him this week. That's what I'm saying. Start Josh Gordon.
11 targets, 4 for 85.
Against Casey Hayward.
Yes.
PFF's best cornerback in football.
Yeah, and the matchup against Green Bay, this should be the Flash Gordon party that everyone has been waiting 3 years to have.
I also think we might be somewhat burying the lead here on a guy that's been really good the last few weeks. Nobody wants to start Mike Wallace, but Mike Wallace has been the clear number 1 target. I mean, I talked the other 2 weeks ago where's Jeremy Maclin gone? Is he even out there? Because it seems like every ball is going to Mike Wallace. He's been targeted on deep routes, on short routes. This coming week he plays Pittsburgh. The Steelers' defense has been, in theory, very good this year. And we remember the beginning of the year where they were shutting down the passing game.
Yeah.
That has completely eroded, especially with the injury to their cornerback. What's the name of the got him from Cleveland?
Joe
Hayden?
Yes, thank you. But my point is, over the last 6 weeks, to the wide receiver position, they are the 32nd best, meaning they are the worst. So Mike Wallace to me is a guy that He's available in almost every single league. You can pick him up, and you can play him.
If I was coaching the Steelers and I wanted to pump up my team, I'd be like, you guys are the 32nd best this week.
Entered the spin zone.
By the way, I mean, without Hayden and now without Ryan Shazier as a linebacker, right, they're going to be vulnerable. They look like a better playoff matchup than they used to.
Sure.
As does Seattle to a degree with their missing pieces. So that's why we say 5 weeks ago, don't overemphasize the playoff matchups either direction because things change very quickly. You can prepare yourself, but all of a sudden that Pittsburgh running back matchup doesn't look as bad, and maybe you make a move and you don't get the value you need. All right, running back. Who's your favorite running back waiver wire pickup?
It's my favorite pickup would be it's probably Mike Davis. I want it to be Peyton Barber because Peyton Barber gets the Detroit Lions, who are just hemorrhaging points to the running back position, 27th over the last 6 weeks. But Peyton Barber's status as the starting running back is very murky with Doug Martin, who missed last game with the concussion. He could be back. If he's back, does he get thrust right back into being the primary ball carrier for Tampa Bay? So if there was somehow we knew that Doug Martin was going to miss this weekend, Peyton Barber would be my number one claim, but we won't know that until this weekend. So you got to go with Mike Davis as for the guy who's available in the majority of leagues. Mike Davis would be my top pickup.
Yeah, if you're talking available in the vast majority, I would agree with you. I don't necessarily agree with you if we're just saying, hey, a guy that's out there in 30, 40% of leagues, and I will tell you who that is in just a second. But first, I want to make sure you guys know about Indochino. Look, if you need a suit, which you do because every man needs a suit, and if you have one, you need another. You got weddings coming up. You got work. You got fancy events to go to. Indochino is a great company. They make custom tailored suits for you. Here's how it works. You visit a showroom or you shop online at Indochino.com. You're going to pick your fabric. You're going to choose your customizations. You're going to submit your measurements, which are very, very easy to do. They'll send you a little measuring tape if you don't have one. You just watch their little video. It's super easy. You place your order, and in a couple weeks, it's here, and you can get any premium Indochino suit for just $359 right now, which is a steal, truly, for a tailored suit at Indochino.com. Just enter the code FOOTBALLERS at checkout. That's 50% off the regular price for a made-to-measure premium suit, plus shipping is free. That's Indochino.com, promo code FOOTBALLERS for any premium suit, just $359 and free shipping. It's an incredible deal for a suit that will fit you better than anything off the rack ever could.
We want to thank Omaha Steaks for sponsoring today's show. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever received a giant box of meat?
I have.
Yes, I have. Yes. And it is fantastic. Look, I'm no Gordon Ramsay over here, but Omaha Steaks, they make it easy for me to make a meal to share with my family, with my kids. And I want to tell you about, for Omaha Steaks is offering this for $49.99. You can get the family gift pack. When you go to omahasteaks.com, you enter the code FANTASY in the search bar. You go to the search bar, put in the code FANTASY, and they're going to give you this exclusive savings. Listen to what is in this package for less than $50. Two filet mignons, 2 top sirloins, 2 boneless pork chops, 4 boneless chicken breasts, 4 kielbasa sausages, 4 burgers, 4 potatoes au gratin, 4 caramel apple tartlets, 1 Omaha Steak seasoning packet, plus you're going to get 4 additional kielbasa sausages for free. Go to omahasteaks.com, enter the code FANTASY into the search bar. You get 75% savings. It's the gift guaranteed to be a hit.
And it's delicious. I'm a little disappointed, Mike, because before the show you were singing all these you were singing all the different things you get in this Omaha. It would have been better, but it's still delicious.
I will say, while I was out of town, I heard a reference to the D.
Yes, it was a little tenacious over here.
Yeah.
All right. So my pickup that I would grab, again, they are owned in 68% of leagues. So, that's still a majority.
Do I need to make a goat noise?
You might need to make a goat noise.
What does it say? They? Is it a?
It's a combo.
It's a group.
They're 1A, 1B. And they're
both
owned identically. It just blows my mind that there are 32% of leagues that these guys aren't picked up. My number one would actually be Kenyon Drake.
No, stop it.
It really would. It would be Kenyon Drake because I feel like he is talented. He's been putting it together. His top speed says that any play can, break away for a touchdown. And I believe he has a little bit more security in the sense that I don't expect Damian Williams back. I think Doug Martin comes back this week. I think Damian Williams comes back 2 weeks from now. So the other guy, of course, Mike's guy, Rex Burkhead.
Yeah.
His rising star from yesterday's episode. Those two players are both guys where, probably owned, but you have to look because if they're there, you pick them up and you've got a starting caliber running back in the fantasy playoffs. Those type of moves win you championships.
Right, and I'll be clear because Mike Davis and Peyton Barber, we're talking guys basically unowned.
Yeah, Peyton Barber is who I'm hoping for.
My number one running back, if all of these players are there, would be Rex Burkhead. He would be my number one claim.
Over Drake?
Over Drake, for sure.
Okay.
Since coming back, he's been the running back 8 in points per game.
Has Miami on Monday Night Football versus a guy like Drake, has New England, obviously, so they're playing in the same game. Peyton Barber has Detroit. If he had the backfield all to himself, that would be nice. You're looking 1 week, aren't you, on these waiver pickups?
Not this. I'm looking multiple weeks here, hopefully. I mean, if you actually need a running back. And Burkhead, Miami, Pittsburgh, which
we just talked about it.
We have to assume that they will be Shazierless, and then Buffalo in championship week. So Burkhead is set up for a monster run.
I will say this, Andy's point of you're just looking for 1 week, right? No, of course you're gonna look at the whole slate of the playoffs, but I think Andy is actually correct to say emphasize week 1. So for instance, I put Kenyon Drake. And
Amir?
I put Kenyon Drake ahead of Rex Burkhead. Thinking through this, what time of year it is, playoffs, I would flip that. I would put Burkhead over Drake because of the matchup of week 1. The matchup in week 1, look, I would hope to get a great schedule through the entire playoffs, but we all know if we lose in the playoffs for 1 week, we're out. And
that's the shame. That's the shame of it.
But my point is, at the end of this week, who else is going to be on waivers next week due to injury that you'll be able to pick up if your matchup wasn't as good?
I might have a different number one.
All right.
Let's hear it.
I think it's Matt Forte.
Oh. Really?
I think I'd rather have Matt Forte.
With the Cerebrus monster? I mean, there's 3 guys there that are all getting carries and all getting carries on the goal line.
15
I
carries.
Like the reference.
15 carries for – yeah, I did too. 15 carries, and now I'm picturing all 3 of their heads on a big dog body. 15 for 58, 3 for 33 through the air, and this was his first game back, to a fuller workload. I don't know. I'm right on the cusp. He plays Denver. That's why. Denver's 31st against the run over the last 6 weeks. They're a dumpster fire, and I think that it'd be right on the edge. Probably Burkhead, then Forte would be my pick.
Sure.
I just don't think Forte is the Mike Wallace of the running back position right now.
Yeah, he's old.
You don't really want to roll him out there.
But he's been valuable. He gets the primary work. I mean, 3 out of the last 4 weeks, which are the only 3 weeks he's played, he had double-digit carries. He's going to get the work, the opportunity. He's got 2 touchdowns over that stretch.
Now, Judge, you wanted to talk about somebody.
I just thought you guys might want to bring up Gio. You mentioned Mixon.
Brooks, I was getting to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just want to make sure.
But, yes, a great point by the judge. Where does Gio Bernard fit into this waiver week? As
well, he's
with Mixon dealing. Was it officially a concussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
And
it was ruled an official. He'll be in the protocol, most likely. So.
So Giovanni Bernard he goes and plays. I think he's at home this week against Chicago, which is a pretty good matchup. If Gio is out there, I would rank him pretty much just behind all of the guys we just talked about.
Really?
He'd be near the top.
I would put him. He'd be near the top.
All of
he's going to be every down. That's the thing about Gio is he will be the only guy in the backfield.
Well, the guys we just talked about. I agree. Maybe you put him over Matt Forte, but Rex Burkhead, I'm definitely taking over Gio.
I'll take Burkhead.
Kenyon Drake is every down. He's the back there, and I prefer his
it's fair
talent. Mike Davis, I mean, he was on the field 70+% of snaps this last week. So I think that's those three guys at least I would take ahead of Gio.
That's fair. It's fine. I think it's preferential there. But here's a question for you as a fantasy owner. Do you sign as many as we can to keep them away from your opponent?
Yeah, I definitely do.
Space, of course.
Yeah, if you've got the space, this is the time of year. I would much rather have a steal away from an opponent than a decent wide receiver 4 on my bench, that I maybe could start in another matchup. I would rather play to win the week.
Now, if you're the Joe Mixon owner, you prioritize Gio.
Absolutely.
And a couple names I just want to throw out. If you're playing in just an absolute crazy league where it's going super deep, Tion Green, if you were watching the Detroit Lions game going, who the heck is that guy?
And look, Andy and I, we are professional. I mean, we do this for a career. There was no sound. We were in New York watching at the event for the World Series of Fantasy. There was no sound on these games, and we just kept seeing number 38. And so I genuinely was like, who is
that guy? Yeah, which also we should mention Theo Riddick as well, who was fantasy relevant because Amir Abdullah missed. But Tion Green, because Amir Abdullah was out, he was 11 for 51. He had a touchdown as well. He gets a matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Pretty juicy. Kerwin Williams took over for Adrian Peterson. He was running very well despite reportedly having cracked ribs. So those guys are interesting. And if you're in a PPR league, guess who's back? Possibly. Andre Ellington, who was picked up by the Houston Texans.
5 for 56.
He was forced into action because their wide receiver core took multiple injuries. So he went into the slot, and he got 6 targets, 5 for 56, takes on San Francisco, which is, it's a pretty solid matchup. But, again, that's a monitor the situation of the health of guys like Bruce Ellington.
All right. At the tight end position, we saw Cameron Brate, 2 touchdowns on 2 catches.
And this is crucial here because Gronk owners, for sure.
Yes.
You don't have a tight end. Zach Ertz owners probably don't have Zach Ertz as he deals with his concussion problem. So this is going to be a crucial pickup here.
Now, Brate is half owned pretty much. So you might not have him available. So what are some other options? I've talked about.
I'm shocked that he's that owned still.
Trey Burton.
Yes.
Trey Burton, he's that owned still because there's not a lot of great tight ends. And last week when Winston was coming back, people jumped back on. But Trey Burton, he's not owned in any league. He's going to be a waiver wire pickup with Ertz out. I like him. Takes on the Rams. You have the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, no, the Mad Hatter is out.
No, that's what I say. You have the Mad Hatter concussed once again. CJ Fedorowicz, probably not going to play. Steven Anderson was 5 for 79 and a touchdown on 12 targets.
Plays against San Francisco.
Hard to ignore that many targets.
San Francisco's 28th against tight ends over the last few weeks, so I agree with you. Steven Anderson looks good.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. I'll tell you what. There's a guy that I think I am willing to start now.
Are you really?
David Njoku?
I really am. I am also willing to start David Njoku, but that was
Ricky Seals-Jones?
Come on.
I am actually willing to start. He had another touchdown. Look, if the ball had been thrown better, he had another opportunity for a touchdown. He's involved. He's involved down the field. He had 44 yards. He had 5 targets. He had important targets in the red zone. And that's the 3rd game in a row where when Seals-Jones comes in the game, you might be worried about, what about the snap percentage or whatnot, but when he's in, he's running routes and he's targeted. And so I don't think you could just base it on snap percentages because he is being utilized as a downfield fantasy option, essentially.
Other guys.
I would say I agree with that, but that's why it's so baffling about Seals-Jones is the snap percentage. We're still under 25% of offensive snaps, but
it makes sense
he gets
to me.
Targets.
It makes sense to me because he is a pass catcher, former wide receiver, good hands, but wasn't with the team the entire year. He's not part of the offensive philosophy outside of route running. He's not going to be in there blocking. So you saw Gresham. Gresham had targets and catches because he was on the field so often. I wouldn't start Seals-Jones unless I was more desperate than, But
so let me ask this: would you start David Njoku against Green Bay, or would you start Ricky Seals-Jones against Tennessee?
Yeah, they're really close. They're really close. I know you
in
like
that situation.
I know you like Gabbert this week.
I do.
Or Mike
I
does.
do as well.
So,
but I would start Seals-Jones in that situation.
that's fine.
But of then, I'll throw in Mr. Anderson.
I'd start Anderson or Burton over both those guys.
I would definitely start Burton over them, and Anderson probably.
There you go.
I'm just disappointed.
Well, I know. I want Seals-Jones to be a thing. I really, really want that to happen.
You know what I want to be a thing, Mike? I want you to break down the defenses.
Well, and also one other name to throw out there, Jason Witten. He's on a lot, but he's playing New York. So if he's out there,
Never heard of him. Never heard of him.
Never heard of Jason.
New guy?
Yeah, brand new for a rookie.
Also, if you are, there's no way he's not available in a 2 quarterback, but just it's very possible in 25% of leagues, so not very possible. Aaron Rodgers is available.
I've seen
he's going to play.
Lots of tweets of people picking him up right now.
Barring a loss to Cleveland this week, he's going to play.
Well,
You mean in Week 15?
in week
to
yes, in
specify.
week 15, but I believe they've designated him to return.
He's eligible in Week 15, but my point is this. Designated to return does not mean he's on the field if they're eliminated from playoff contention.
Right.
Fair point.
We made this point on the show last week that it was likely they'd beat Tampa and they'd beat Cleveland. Therefore, the pathway to Rodgers playing was right there. And it's heading that way. They'll probably beat Cleveland.
Right.
But I don't know.
Uh-oh.
If Cleveland's going to get their win, it's going to come this week.
Jason has thrown the microphone away from his
let me
face
explain.
in
I'm gonna go ahead and
I don't know what's happening
I'll
here.
be Jason. Dear diary, I just realized that Aaron Rodgers is definitely going to play this week or in Week 15, and I could have played him in my Dynasty League playoffs. However, I'm not in them, so I'm once again reflecting on
Blake Bortles. It turned out, Foot Clan, if you want an update on Mike and I's matchup last night, despite Mixon going out, Mixon and Antonio Brown did enough to get me the victory if I had stuck with my Blake Bortles start.
I forgot how good Brown was. How many points did you lose by last night?
Few enough to where it was the difference between Matt Ryan and Blake Bortles.
Yeah.
Well, I realized that, but I mean, was it
No,
was
wasn't.
it like Mixon? If Mixon hadn't been concussed, would you
No.
have had a real shot?
No.
No, I lost by probably 15 plus.
Okay.
So
Yes.
maybe.
Speaking
one
about
Bortles.
Yes, he lost by 1 Bortles. That is correct. Speaking about defenses, great plays this week, in my opinion. The Bengals against Chicago, against Mitchell Trubisky. The Jets against Denver. And the Bills will be taking on Indy. But this is also, you got to monitor. It could be Nathan Peterman.
I was going to say Indy is taking on the Bills.
So if, in fact, Nathan Peterman is the quarterback, which I think at this point I'm going to assume that Nathan Peterman will be playing this weekend.
Well, defensive points aren't going to score against you in ESPN anymore. So
Fair,
if Peterman
but-
throws 5 pick sixes,
but
it's
if
not
they're-
going to hurt your Buffalo D.
But they have to go pick 6.
Yes, if it's 5 20-yard fields like the Chargers had,
Then you're
going
going
to
to host. So I retracted. I'm not going to play Buffalo.
Love the Patriots this week against Miami Monday Night Football.
But would you play the Colts is more my question. If Nathan Peterman is the start, would you, the Colts are
No,
a terrible D.
they're on the road.
It's on the road, yeah.
It's on the road, so no, I wouldn't.
I don't think I would.
This is not the time of year I'm playing with a bad D and a good matchup.
Yeah.
This is the time of year I'm going to play a good D in the best matchup I can find.
So like Cincinnati,
Yeah.
good D against Chicago at home,
Yes.
mostly available.
Beautiful.
They're probably the
they're-
main pick.
They're fantastic. Other teams this week, the Cardinals are at home against the Titans, and we kind of have some possible options for the future weeks here that I took a look at. Week 15, you might want to grab them right now. The Detroit Lions will be at home versus those Chicago Bears. The Bills get Miami, but once again, that's questionable with Peterman. And the Colts will be at home against Denver. Then championship week, Rams are on the road against the Titans, the Chargers. I mean, these are pretty heavily owned guys, but lower owned teams. Chicago Browns, week 16. Which side would you guys want? Do you want the Chicago Bears or do you want the Cleveland Browns?
I'd rather have the Browns.
Would you?
Yeah, because Josh Gordon is throwing a little wrench in the potential circumstance there. Not that Cleveland's going to be amazing, but look, they take shots down the field. I want to throw this out there too. Defenses you need to watch drop it like it's hot this week.
Yes.
Yes.
Because people that are going to pick up these good matchups, if the Eagles hit the waiver wire this week. They get the Giants next week, okay? They're fighting for a number 1 seed. So they're a team that nobody wants to play necessarily this week when they play the Rams, but they will be great next week against the Giants. Could get dropped. Should pay attention to them.
I think the Cardinals, of a DST that's available in more than half of leagues, the Cardinals are looking pretty solid right now with the home game in Week 14 against the Titans and then the home game championship week against the Giants. So I think that they're very interesting. If you didn't listen to me weeks ago, say pick up the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to move on. Another drop out like it's hot candidate might be the Panthers, by the way, so pay attention to them. Let's talk quarterbacks.
Full stream ahead.
All right, last week it was a 2-man show. So we had Josh McCown, Case Keenum.
Josh McCown.
Lighting it up right now. 11th ranked fantasy quarterback on the year.
He's only at 11?
Yeah. He's QB1.
QB1 at 38.
Yeah, at 38 years young. Josh McCown is my stream of the week this week.
You
still available.
Really?
I'm staying with him.
Okay.
Traveling to Denver. Denver is 22nd against the pass on the year. On the year now. This is Denver. 4 touchdowns. 3, 2 over the last 5 weeks. I can do that math in my head. That's 14 touchdowns over the last 5 weeks.
Jay Cutler just succeeded against them
in a big way. And Josh McCown, he's playing with a lot of heart. He's got a
well, that's what he is. He is. I mean, if you could see his actual characteristics, his heart is over 100%.
Yeah, like if you were building a character in one of those video
and courage.
games.
The last time we saw Josh McCown come in right after Jay Cutler, it worked out really well.
Yeah, look,
that's a stretch. Are you referring to the Chicago Bears?
I'm referring to the Chicago Bears,
where Josh McCown took over for that team.
Yes, and he was awesome.
And now you are using that logic to explain why a completely different team.
Flip-flop thoughts from Jason Moore. Flip-flop thoughts.
Thoughts from the beach.
Thoughts from the beach with Jason.
Hey,
I'm taking McCown.
Is it 40 degrees out there?
I'm taking
McCown. I love
McCown.
McCown. I have
in
no
Denver.
problem with
Denver
that.
is falling apart.
I have no problem with that at all. I'm going to go with the guy who was almost my start this past week, Jameis Winston. Look, Jameis Winston does some of the dumbest things on the football field I've ever seen. He did it last week. And you know what? He was still fine for fantasy. Did he help the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win? Usually he doesn't. But that doesn't matter. If you look at the season, he has the majority of his games where he's played, the whole game, which is important. He has multiple touchdowns thrown. Last week, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an absurd interception decision. And you'll get those. You'll get those this week. But Detroit, this game is at home for Jameis. It's against Detroit. The Lions against the quarterback, especially recently, over the last 6 weeks, they have been the 29th best. 29th best. And I'll just say this. You get to follow it up by picking up Winston. He also follows it up at home against Atlanta the next week, which is, over the last 6 weeks, the 26th best. So I like Winston. He's available in the majority of leagues. I would grab him.
There's a lot of good stream candidates this week. Not my official streamer, but Jimmy Garoppolo gets to take on the Houston Texans. DeShone Kizer. And look, regardless of what you think of Kaiser's play as an NFL quarterback, he's fantastic for fantasy right now.
Tyrod Taylor, if he plays
I
against
don't
Indy,
think he's going to play.
I do think he plays. But to each their own.
But Kizer, and my official streamer this week is the blonde bombshell, Blaine Gabbert, at home against the Tennessee Titans. So he's home. He gets that that home Larry Fitzgerald action. Jason's new favorite player in the NFL, Ricky Seals-Jones, catching some touchdowns. I think that he is a great choice this week. And then if you want to hold on to him, he gets the Giants in championship week. It's going to be amazing, ladies and gentlemen, when Blaine Gabbert and Blake Bortles, both of them, win people fantasy championships this year. It will warm my heart.
Happens every year. Those were our quarterback streamers this week. We are going to take a second and get into the mailbag.
Oh,
Mike,
Hi.
Let's do it.
Mailbag.
Oh, yeah! You play to win the game. All right. Mailbag time. If you have a question, go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. You can also hit Twitter at the FFBallers or dial our voicemail hotline, 302-464-TFFB. This one comes in from Sean in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Is it Erie or is it Irie? It's feeling Irie.
Yeah, it's one of those. Through the fantasy playoffs, should some consideration be given to teams still playing for their playoffs versus teams who are out of contention? Example, I own Evan Ingram and Delaney Walker at tight end. Most would say play Ingram, but Tennessee is still playing to advance. In other words, Ingram or Walker.
You're talking
also
real
cookie,
life.
He says
NFL
cookie,
teams.
butter, Oreos are the best.
Okay.
I have not tried those yet, but I
that's-
did. I imagine they're good.
That sounds like something that needs to happen soon, is the trial of that cookie. Aside from that, I always take into – I mean, when you look at yes, Mike?
they're cookie butter cookies?
Yes.
Sounds delicious.
I heard you like cookies.
In your
Yo,
cookies.
dog.
Yo, dog.
Sorry.
You like cookies in your cookies.
And you were correct. So, yes.
Put your pizza in your pizza.
All right. Yeah, I mean, look, when you're statting out players and you're looking at the defenses and the offenses and the cornerbacks and the wide receivers, you try to take in everything into account. One of those things is, what is this team playing for? What are the, are there good vibes or bad vibes with the team? So like the Denver Broncos right now, they're collapsing and falling apart. They're out of the run. It makes me fearful to play virtually anybody, especially at the running back position. We thought, it was going to be Devontae Booker.
Right.
They're going to look for the future, but they just have no idea what they're doing right now. That's what it seems like. So my point is, when I take a look at, is a team playing to win or are they out of the running, the vibes, I take that into consideration. Do you guys?
I agree with you only in the extremes. So a situation like Evan Ingram, for example, look, I'd probably play Delaney Walker over him, but you heard news of Walker's ankle injury this week. Evan Ingram's a young player. They're trying to get more and more involved and established. I'm not concerned there. He's not the extreme case for me.
Right.
Mike is nodding his head.
I completely agree. Ingram's a rookie. They're getting him experience for next year, and Eli Manning is playing for a job for next year.
That being said, I just realized that Brooks has hung an AJ Green jersey on the wall today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Is that to rub in the fact they needed one
Brooks,
catch?
you're so nasty.
One catch, Brooks, to get the bye week, or the fact that you owned him on your team that beat me and made me 12-1 instead of 13-0?
That's the reason.
That's the
There
reason.
you go.
I like that
Also, you're
Andy
fired.
is so disappointed in AJ Green's, 100-yard, 2-touchdown game
Oh
or
man,
whatever.
I will say this. I
It
tweeted
should have
out,
been 161 and 3.
Yeah, I tweeted out. Someone said that to me, and I know you were on tilt from not getting a reception the entire second half, and so I tweeted out. Yeah, there's a lot of people upset with this. My goodness, the response was universal. Everyone responded to that tweet going, "Dude, if you needed more, you didn't deserve to win."
Let me say that here's literally what happened in my house last night. I was upstairs watching the game in my office, and my wife was downstairs, and the kids were down there. They got put to bed, and my wife was kind of like beat, and she wanted to watch a show or something. And I was like, you know what, babe? As soon as I get this AJ Green thing figured out, I'll watch the highlights. I'll tape it, watch the second half. I'm upstairs. They throw the bomb. I don't see the flag.
the third touchdown?
The third touchdown. I turn the TV off upstairs. I come downstairs, and I'm like, I've got a pep in my step, and I'm like, got the bye week. I come downstairs. I tell my wife, she's asking about Ryan Shazier because she had heard about the injury, and I go, yeah, you want to watch a show? Let me just turn the TV on downstairs, and we'll watch a television program. And I look, and there's no points.
Yeah.
And then I had to watch. AJ Green ruined the night for my wife because I had to watch the rest of that game then, waiting for
Thanks,
that touchdown.
AJ Green.
Yeah. All right, Armand in Long Beach. Drop Doug Martin and try to pick up Mike Davis?
That's a great question.
I would do that.
I've had this question fielded a lot, and yes, I agree. I would.
Yeah, I would do it
Matthew
too.
in San Francisco. Is it time to drop Devontae Parker for the playoffs?
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
certainly not time to start him in the playoffs.
And that's exactly the point is at this time, you need those extra defenses. You need a handcuff. You need to be prepared for future weeks.
You need to steal people away from your opponents.
You're not playing Parker.
Yeah, you're not going to play Parker. If he has a great game, whatever. Yeah, I would agree. Those are the type of players you move on, you utilize their roster spot.
Ken in Philly. I have Phillip Rivers as my QB1 and my opponent has Keenan Allen. Do I go for Jameis Winston on the waivers or is it too risky due to his injury? Should I go for a different quarterback on the waivers?
No, you just have to suck it up and you play the better quarterback.
It doesn't matter. That's the
Right.
reality. It's perception. If you look at Rivers and you think he's a 30-point quarterback this week and Rivers is a 20-point quarterback, it doesn't help you if Rivers scores 30 not on your team.
Right.
It's 10 less points. You just hope that he finds Mike Williams or Hunter Henry or Melvin Gordon.
Exactly.
You play the best player.
Yep.
Yeah, that being said, who
does Rivers take on? I do not know.
Yeah, Rivers is at home against Washington.
Yeah, I play Rivers. He's on fire.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
would play Rivers too.
They're going to win that division, by the way.
See, I'm just throwing this out there. My rankings will probably be almost. I'll bet they're back to back in my rankings when all is said and done.
And when they're
because
back,
I was
if they're back to
high
back,
on
I don't
Winston.
mind you making the pick
that
on
was the
Winston.
point I was gonna say.
Because you want highest possible upside, and the best case scenario, right? If Keenan Allen has a terrible week, it's likely that hurts Phillip Rivers.
Right.
So you want the possibility of Allen having a terrible week and Winston having a big week.
See, for me, if they're back to back, I'm going to go with the guy I just consider to be the safer play. Jameis Winston at this point reminds me of, the scene in The Goonies? Or Andy doesn't because he has not seen The Goonies. He's not a true American. Thank you. But at the beginning of the movie, they know. They want this map open. They want this picture frame open.
Don't spoil it.
They say, okay.
Time has.
So they give this picture frame to Chunk because they know he's going to drop it. He's going to ruin things. So if you have,
That's what you see as
if
Jameis
you have
Winston.
Rivers and Winston back to back, I'm going to go with the guy that I don't think is going to drop my picture frame.
Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna go with my stream of the week.
Yeah,
Jameis Winston.
because you can't stream Phillip Rivers.
By the way, there is a 33-year rule for spoilers, and we're not
Yes.
there yet for Goonies. It's only about 32 years old.
I can't believe you didn't see The Goonies.
I just didn't
Yet.
see the Goonies. I mean,
Well, no, it's the magic is gone. You cannot watch it as a child. It's still going to be interesting and entertaining for you, but the magic of the Goonies as a child,
the judge is shaking his head.
It's not worth watching now, Andy. At all.
man.
See,
I mean, I didn't watch it growing up. And
But-
when I went back and tried to watch it,
That's what
I
happened.
didn't finish.
It's not my.
It's terrible.
No.
Blame my parents, man. We just didn't. They didn't rent it.
You have two boys who will love this movie and have the magic right now.
Yes.
I think if you watch it with them,
I bet they'll be bored out of their mind.
no. It's a Spielberg, bro.
Dude, would they be bored watching E.T.?
Yeah, that's a great question.
No, they enjoyed E.T.
Then
they'll
they will love
this.
the Goonies.
I should have said, "What's E.T.?" That's what I should have said.
Never heard of it.
We're at the end and we've gotten way off track. But here's a true story of. I mean,
Go for it.
I'm a movie buff, right? I love movies. And even growing up in high school and everything. The first time I ever actually saw E.T. was in high school in my Spanish class. So it was
Spanish?
It was in Spanish, so it was like "Ete." I mean, my Spanish is terrible. But so that was my first real exposure to E.T. was in Spanish.
It didn't hurt the experience.
You did. I didn't know what was happening.
T.
Yeah. Yeah. But
All right. Hey, check out our community at jointhefoot.com. A little reminder, draft.com/ballers to play some DFS with us this weekend. If by chance you are out of the playoffs, there's still a lot to be gained by listening to the show, staying glued into all of the news, notes, information. You're going to hear about more than just the matchups this week. So pay attention. We'll be there with you, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one.
Absolutely, Foot Clan. If you're in the playoffs, enjoy the most nervous part of the year. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.